think we can all agree that women should have health care. I have strong thoughts on this topic. And let me just say, before we get into the whole deal, I would love to have a child. I would love to have a baby. If I could have a child, I would absolutely have one. I love my husband. I think we'd have an adorable baby. I'm not able to do that. But there are a lot of people out there that don't want children, and they find themselves in circumstances where they're in danger if they have that child. And the government doesn't seem to care because Uncle Sam wants you to have a baby. Because of the huge decline in birth rates in recent years, I think we're being beat out by France. It has our government freaking out. Take, for example, this esteemed congressman here.
And I'll say it, and it'll probably just land on deaf ears. So,
I actually feel bad for his assistant standing there in the back. He throws several of those things at him, and it's kind of uncomfortable to watch. But I can understand why there is a freak out over the decline in birth rate, but I can also understand why it's happening. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that today. And I also want to talk about some good news that's happening over on TikTok. Again, it's given me hope. So we got some good news in the video today. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. And if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. I'm about to get started. But before I do, if you haven't already, you know the drill. Like, subscribe. Coming on my channel, it'd be really great to have you here. With that being said, let's get into today's video. I don't know if you guys had seen that video, I think it went viral, of congressmen talking about the decline in birth rate.
I apologize to anyone that doesn't like math or complexity. For anyone that does not like math, please just go watch something on Netflix right now.
It got my wheels kind of turning, and I wanted to sit down and talk about it because, you know, it is something that's happening in this country, and it's happening everywhere. People just aren't having kids. I'm watching this video, and this guy is just having a moment, and he's giving the math, you know, about his perspective is this, that we don't have enough people paying into Social Security.
United States fertility rates have collapsed. This number's wrong. It's our latest number for last year is not 1.64, it's 1.63. France has a higher fertility rate than the United States. Even when you adjust for their immigration population, they still have a dramatically higher fertility. Most of Western Europe looks like us, and we're worse than a whole bunch of the world. How do you and I set public policy so 25 years from now, remember, Social Security is substantially a pay-as-you-go system. Today's workers are functionally paying for today's retirees. The trust fund was the shock absorber. Trust fund is disappearing. But my future generation of workers is going to be smaller.
And that was something that I think the whole reasoning behind Roe v. Wade being overturned was maybe not entirely, but I think that it was a big part of why, because people just, they weren't having kids, and we weren't going to have another generation coming forward to pay into Social Security. I'm so caught up in what I want to say that I forgot to underpaint, which is something that I like to do. So I'm not going to do that today. We're going to start with my skin tint and go from there. So I'm watching this guy have this meltdown, and I'm thinking my thoughts about how the government overturned Roe v. Wade, right? And put it in the hands of the state to decide whether or not women could receive an abortion. And a lot of states are saying no. A lot of states are not allowing women to get the care that they need, regardless of the circumstance, which could oftentimes be a necessary measure for the health and the welfare of the woman, or if something traumatic has happened where they would want to not have that child. So we lost our bodily autonomy, which when I first saw this happening, and this, again, this is my opinion, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me, but I was livid. I was. I'm just going to be honest. Absolutely livid to see that happen. How can we say that we live in a country that is free and not be able to make our own choice on what we're going to do? So I think the government, and listen, you can disagree if you want to. I know not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's completely fine. We're having the conversation. That's, you know, the whole point. We're just getting our thoughts and feelings out there, and this is, again, it's just my opinion. I come from a generation that is about rights and women having their rights, and having that taken away, it's just crushing. Now, if I could, just to clarify, I would love to have a baby. I'm not able to do that. But if I could, I would absolutely do that. I'm not against having children. I think it's wonderful if you want to. But if you don't, you should have the right, in my opinion, to not. But the government decided to put it in the hands of the state. And the states, a lot of them are saying women are no longer allowed to have these procedures, that they are to have as many children as possible. Why? In my opinion, even before I saw this take from our esteemed senator,
And it'll probably just land on deaf ears.
I figured the same thing. It was cogs in the machine. They need people. They need a refresh. More and more people coming in, more and more citizens to, keep working, and, the worker bees doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? They need those people. They need us, the many, as opposed to the few that, are the 1%ers. Need people like us that are, out there doing the work and paying into social, paying all the other taxes and all that other fun stuff. But people aren't having babies. Why? Let me be Captain Obvious for a second. It is expensive to have a child. It is expensive to have a baby these days. And there are people that you look at fast food menus and you think, I can't afford that. Fast food. Can't even afford fast food. Imagine diapers. Here in the States, just to have a baby, before you even go home with your child, close to $14,000 just to have a baby, just to go to the hospital and have. That's before anything else happens. And when people can barely afford to buy fast food, do you think that they're excited to have a kid? I know I should be a bit more biased, but it's difficult because, like I said, I am from a land of individuals who are like, rights for everyone. You decide because you're an American and we're free. Women are opting for celibacy these days because they not only don't want to be a part of the dating world again and they're frustrated with their male counterparts, they also don't want to have children. If you live in a state that doesn't allow you to make that choice, then you are at risk of having an unwanted pregnancy. I'm not saying using it as something as reckless as, controlling that, but there are, like I said, there's circumstances that come into play. There are things that happen that are accidental. These women, they don't want to do it. And there are women that have gotten pregnant. There was something that I saw from Arizona, and it was someone that works within the government of Arizona. I'm going to put it up so you guys can see it. This woman is pregnant, and they will not allow her care. She is in danger. She cannot have the child because it is literally a danger to her. And her state, Arizona, which I lived in for a while, it's a beautiful place, but they're not allowing her the care. Now that Roe v. Wade has been turned over, she can't get the help that she has to go through certain things, humiliating things that aren't necessary in order for her to get the care that she needs.
I want to explain what I mean and why I'm still pregnant as I address all of you today, despite having known about the unavoidable demise of my pregnancy and despite having been to the abortion clinic on Friday where they were equipped and prepared to perform my abortion. First, I was required to have another ultrasound at the abortion clinic, as all patients seeking abortion are required to do in Arizona. An ultrasound that I absolutely did not need to have. I didn't have an ultrasound because my doctor thought I needed one. I had one because legislation has forced me to do that. An invasive transvaginal ultrasound that I didn't want or need to have, performed by someone who didn't want to have to do it. I am safe and loved and protected in my marriage. But I cannot imagine how inappropriate that would be for a victim of sexual assault or for someone who has an abusive or coercive relationship with their partner. Another unwanted vaginal penetration, but this time by the state, by the people who are commissioned to protect us, because of laws passed by this legislature in opposition to medical expert testimony and advice. Doctors and patients should be making those determinations, not legislators.
And my heart is just breaking for this woman. She wants to have kids, but she can't. So where does that leave those women?
EMTALA made it a law that every emergency room would have to do a screening and stabilize a patient before sending them elsewhere for care. Idaho wants to get rid of EMTALA because it has a full abortion ban, and it's creating issues for hospitals and doctors when a woman who's pregnant comes in and requires medical treatment. Does a woman have to be on the brink of brain damage to get treatment? Can a woman be airlifted out of Idaho by helicopter when her organs are in full failure? It is stuff straight out of The Handmaid's Tale. How is it that can become, like an abortion ban can become a law in America when we have separation of church and state? I thought in the First Amendment that there was the Establishment Clause that guaranteed separation of church and state. Are we able as women to come together and file a class action lawsuit against the federal government as a workaround over these draconian laws that these states are putting into play against us, preventing women in America access to medical treatment, which is their First Amendment right?
And once they've gotten more kids and those babies are born, what does the government do for those kids? Now, we have some things that are put in place to help with family care and give moms time off, but we don't really offer a whole lot to the parents once that child is born. It's very limited what the government will give you, and in a lot of places around the world, they allow moms to have X amount of time off and care for the kid and, food and support and all these things that can help to foster a healthy, good family. So you don't really have to worry about the financial statistics as much because your country or where you live is going to just go ahead and help you to, get through those formidable years. But here we don't really have that. And if we do, it's a very minute, it's very difficult. And there's not a lot there. I know that there's a state right now that's offering 100 diapers a month or something like that for, newly born kids so that it'll help a little bit, but that's only a small portion. Babies go through a lot of diapers. It's scratching the surface. They want all these kids, but they're not going to provide the care needed after these children are born. And then when they get into the system and they start to, grow up and they're going to school, the educational system is it's so incredibly flawed. There's a statistic that says 19% of high school graduates in the US can't read. So rewinding back to, say, 2008, and you got the millennials who are watching their parents struggle and suffer. I remember 2008, and I was terrified. I was working in this restaurant that I'd worked in forever, and I could see a decline in, customers coming in, and it was just a very scary time. And around that time, people were losing their homes, losing jobs, divorce, because money is like a big reason why marriages don't last. People are fighting over money and, they end up splitting up because they can't afford things, and it can be very freaking stressful. So the younger generation is watching their parents fight over money and stress out and end up getting separated because of it. So they grow up with that fear of, I don't know if I want to have kids because I watched all this happen and it's so incredibly difficult to afford. So I'm not really sure I want to do that. So they already had that fear, and then the pandemic hits in 2020. Well, that only further compounds that fear because now people have to stay home and we don't know what's going to happen. It's very scary. It's uncertain. These are unprecedented times. And so now even more so, millennials are thinking, hey, maybe I don't want to have kids. Maybe I want to wait and see how this pans out. I'm a little nervous, it's understandable. I totally get it. That's a huge reason why people aren't, the next generation isn't having kids. And it seems to me, from what I've seen, is that Gen Z doesn't really have a big interest in it either. They're just not enthusiastic about continuing on with the patriarchy. They want to make their own way. They want to make their own choices. And they're being suppressed by a government that won't allow them to do so, which is causing a lot of friction, a lot of uprising, a lot of people coming forward and saying, this isn't what we want, this isn't right, this isn't freedom. And a lot of people who are talking about it becoming a state that's like Handmaid's Tale, if you think about it. Love that show, by the way, and I think that they're going to come back with another series in the final one in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. It's a freaking great show, but I don't want to live in it. And then I saw this post from Warren Buffett.
If we send in a check like we did last year, we send in over $5 billion to the U.S. federal government. And if 800 other companies had done the same thing, no other person in the United States would have had to pay a dime of federal taxes, whether income taxes. No Social Security taxes, no estate taxes, it's up and down the line. Now, we say we're in the 800 club and maybe even move up a few notches. It doesn't bother me in the least to write that check.
Why can't that be more of the popular thing to do? Imagine how much relief that would bring, and if we had that relief, instead of forcing women to have babies, the women that want to have babies would feel confident to do so. I just feel like the government is so upside down. And again, you may disagree, it's just my opinion, but wouldn't it be nice to see, in a perfect world, these people coming forward and, you know, the ones who can afford it, paying the extra in taxes and paying into Social Security, so that the rest of us who are, you know, getting by and the cogs in the machine, if you will, could have the help so that we could have children and not be terrified. You know, I just feel like, what a great solution. I don't think that'll happen. I don't know what will happen. I think that the government is seeing, you know, how people feel about it, because the decline in births, it's so apparent. So I hope that instead of enforcing more strict laws on women, because it's not working, that they would take a page out of Warren Buffett's book and start helping people. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Instead of hindering, why does it seem more of a hindrance than help these days? It's incredibly frustrating, but still. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now I want to move on to a more positive subject. So I'm keeping this kind of simple today. I want to just do a little chill look. I also want to add a little more under my eyes, because I know with the lighting it looks like I did enough, but in real life my mirror is telling me otherwise. So I'm just going to put a little more on here, and we're just going to keep it simple today with our look. I want a nice little day look, so I can go out and run my errands. I love a glam look too, but today's not a glam kind of day. But there is a positive story in today's video. So I'm on TikTok, scrolling as you do, and I come across this new trend. So we know that TikTok can come up with these trends that they burn hot and they're like really popular, and things just pop off and it goes crazy and then it fizzled out. Well, this particular trend that I'm seeing is one that I find incredibly inspirational.
Y'all need to stop trying to get to 10K followers to pay off your debt. I know I'm gonna get some.
Real quick, do not listen to that woman. Do not listen to that woman. Less than 48 hours ago, I was more than 3K away from getting the 10K I needed. And then I had maybe 28,000 views or something like that on my video. My goal was to get into the creator program so that I can be home with my kids and we can start working towards our farm. My goal is to have enough money by the end of this year to start our flower farm. I had no expectations with this trend, and I started out with good intentions and maxed out instantly friending people. When I say in less than 48 hours, not only did I get the 3,000 followers I needed, I got double that. Plus, I'm up to over almost like 90,000 views. I only need 10,000 more views until I can start the creator program. That is going to change my life.
I don't know what's going on outside. There's work or something going on. Please try and ignore if you hear that sound in the background. It cannot be helped. People are doing stuff. Stuff is happening. And I'm living where the stuff is happening. But we're all in this together, so it's fun. I love this trend. I cannot help but be impressed by what I see happening on TikTok. And it's not just younger people. It's all ages, individuals coming together to help pay each other's bills. And there are the naysayers. Like, I've seen people come forward and say that this doesn't, work, and, no one's going to get to this or that. And I don't know that I believe that. And it's not even just that impresses me so much. It's the fact that people are willing to try. You know what I mean? People are willing to put the effort out there to help other people to pay their bills.
Y'all, I'm blown away. The amount of love and support y'all have been leaving me on this video to help pay off debt is insane to me. Never would I ever imagine so many people can get together and teamwork to help someone grow, because not only you're helping me out, but you're helping each other out. That's amazing.
I'm not a part of the Creator Fund. I wish that I were, because if I were, I would jump on that thing in a hot second and say, hey, I would love some help paying my bills, because the strike has left me without a job for a really long time now, and my husband has been caring for the brunt of our necessities financially wise, and I have a little bit of the savings that's helped. But beyond that, when that goes, in the midst of my job hunting, it's going to get really crazy. So in that respect, I'm kind of glad that we don't have kids, because it would be really frightening right now. Circling back to that, but the thing that's going on TikTok is it's so incredible to to see that people are so passionate about helping each other to survive in this economic climate. And I am so moved by that. I have watched and liked and commented and followed on as many videos as I possibly can because I'm all for it. I want to see these people succeed and be able to pay their bills or coming forward with their stories of things that are going on in their lives, whether they've lost their car or they're getting ready to lose their apartment or their child at home. There's, all kinds of things that are going on. And if it's just as simple as like finding my lip balm that I had right here in front of me and I can't find for some reason. So I'm going to use this one. Is this? Yeah, okay. We'll use this one from Hourglass. I may as well. You see people actually coming back on with their videos saying thank you and just completely blown away by all the help that they received from, individuals that they never even met, just trying to help them to make it, to get by and whatever it is that they're struggling with. And it's wonderful. I mean, I don't know. I love seeing stuff like that. It continues to give me hope. If the ban goes through, can I just say, wherever you land on the TikTok spectrum, I will miss it. I will miss it if it goes, because I think more than any other platform, I've seen so much passion and so much excitement of people. It can go one way or the other. Social media can be terrifying. People can either tear you down and come at you like an army force and just, look at what happened to J-Lo, which, by the way, there's talks of her and Ben possibly getting divorced, if you can believe that, because I can kind of believe that. It's sad, but I can kind of see that happening. Unfortunately, it is not her year. But as an example, the internet can come after you and just tear you to shreds, or it could show up for you and completely change your entire freaking life. That is how powerful social media is. It's actually really shocking and kind of amazing and kind of terrifying. But in this respect, I'm going to say it's really amazing because people are showing out for one another. They're trying to, help each other grow. And, it's not going to succeed for everybody. Not everyone's going to hit 10,000 subscribers or whatever and get on the creator program. But at least the spirit is there. The idea is there of people just genuinely wanting to help one another. And all you really have to do is watch a video for a few seconds, like it or comment, or it's so easy to do. So that's why I said I'm like trying to watch as many of them as possible because I want to see people succeed. I know how scary and frustrating it can be out here in the world, and I've been alive for a while now, and it doesn't feel like it's getting better, but I'm hopeful. I'm ever hopeful. And to see people that are still feeling that way and wanting to make a difference and a positive impact on this world, it's just, it continues to give me hope, and I love seeing it. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. And I wonder if you're on TikTok like I am, if you've seen this, if you've participated in it, or how you feel about it. Even if you're not on it, I want to know your thoughts, because watching this, it's the positive side of social media. It really is, and it's so incredible. So I wanted to have something good in today's video because the things that are going on with the government, and yes, the decline in population, it can be unsettling, and we don't know what the future holds, and it's a scary time for a lot of us, but knowing that there are people still coming together and fighting for one another, it's a positive thing, it's a hopeful thing. So we're going to end it on a positive note, and this is the finished look. Now I know I didn't do a lot, but it's a day look. Just wanted to look a little evened out, a little bronzy, a little like got some sun kind of thing going on, and there's a lot of noise going on, and and we're here and we're in this together. But yeah, this is it, and I just wanted to sit down and talk to you guys and hang out for a little bit. I'm so grateful for all you who come around and watch my videos. It really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, just wanted to get your opinion on all this stuff because I need friends, and it's important that we have this connection, and that's it. And I'm going to end on that cheesy note. So yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. As always, I really do appreciate it, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.